Hi, in this video I'm going to be reviewing our first homework assignment, give you some advice about how to complete it and what things mean. I'd like you to start on the tab in our course called Distributions. It's our first homework assignment, and there is a document in here called Homework 1 Questions document, and it's formatted for viewing. It's a web page, and I'll talk about the questions in there. You will have to download this markdown file and upload it to our studio to execute. But when you execute, you should get something that's a formatted thing like this web page. And so let's start with problem 1. It's about some AAUP data. AAUP means American Association for University Professors, and it's a salary and cost financial data set. It gets loaded in your markdown file, and the first thing that you need to do is make a histogram of the full professor salary values. And the variable that has full professor salaries in is ASAL full, annual salary for full professors. And this command that is already in your markdown file will produce the histogram that you see here. So to understand the command, it just means with the AAUP data frame, make a histogram. And if you execute and knit your markdown file, you should get this histogram produced. And the question in number 1, part A, says to describe the distribution shape. Use terms and descriptive words like we've discussed in class. So hopefully you will be able to look at this display and decide whether it's symmetric or skewed right or skewed left, and you will type that answer in your markdown file next to where it says answer to A. In part B, it says provide numerical description of the center and the spread of this distribution. Use a single number for center and a single value for spread, and it's important to choose the right measures. And we've given some summary statistics here. There are 1,093 observations. It says right here that the mean is 524.144. I assure you that full professor salaries are more than $524. You need to understand that these salaries are measured, as you can see up here in the very beginning of the description, salaries are measured in hundreds of dollars. So make sure you understand that the values in here need to be converted to dollars. And that means that if they're already in hundreds, so like if there was a value that was 1, that would mean 100. Basically it means that you need to add 2 zeros on to all of these values in order to get hundreds, in order to get dollars. And so what I want you to do here is decide what measure of center, typical, should be used for these full professor salaries. Remember, the two measures of center are the mean or the median, and you should be able to look at this display and decide which value, the mean or the median, should be used, and then you should take that number and type it in here in terms of dollars, and that would be your measure of typical. Measures of spread should be IQR or standard deviation. You should be able to look at this display and determine which measure should be used, and then you should be able to put the right numerical value right here for the measure of spread. In part C, it says make side-by-side box plots, and I've given you the code that does that already here, box plots by institution type. Type 1 are research universities, like the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. 2A mean comprehensives. This would be universities that are like state universities, St. Cloud State, Moorhead State, Mankato State. They have undergraduate degrees and also master's degrees. And type 2B are colleges like UMM, only undergraduates. And what I'm asking you here is to look at the side-by-side box plots and understand how the salaries are differing between the types of university. Describe what you observe from the display only using visual impressions. And so I want you to discuss the shapes of these distributions that you see from these box plots. So use words like symmetric, skewed left, skewed right, those kind of words for the shape. Understand how the center, the value, typical value, is differing between these three institution types, and the spread. And so from this display you should be able to understand what is representing spread typically for box plots, and you should be able to talk about the spread for these. In part D, it says provide numerical summaries for the salaries by type, and so here we have some descriptive statistics by the institution type, and I want you to notice which institution type typically gets paid the most, which type typically gets paid the least, and I want you to make a judgment about, are the variations different between these groupings. And you should be able to tell from the shape of these box plots how to measure typical and how to measure spread. That would be something we cover in class. In part E, I ask the question about how salaries for full professors at UMM compare to those of the same institution type. And you should realize that UMM is a type 2B institution, and you can see that full professor salaries have a value of 533 for this variable. You should be able to convert that to hundreds of dollars. And well, is UMM very different from type 2B institutions? And you should be able to look up here at the summary statistics for type 2B institutions and figure out, where does UMM stand relative to these standards? You might be able to do it even visually according to the 2B box plot. And so I want you to write a description about how UMM full professor salaries compare to other type 2B institutions. Do UMM faculty get paid way more, way less, about the same as other 2B institutions? You should be able to tell from the information provided. In F, I want you to do the same thing for the Twin Cities campus. Make a decision, make a discovery about how full professors are paid in the Twin Cities campus. Here's the value for them, 662. Convert that to dollars, and then use that to compare to other type 1 institutions. University of Minnesota Twin Cities is a type 1 school. You should be able to discover how it differs than other and how it compares to other type 1s. Problem 2 is some American Community Survey data, and here is a distribution of the percentage of high school graduates for the states in the United States, and I want you to talk about the shape of this distribution. Use words that mention and describe shape. In part B, I want you to run this code and have it extract the institutions, extract the states, the names of the states that have percentage of high school graduate completion that are bigger than 90%. And if you look at this code right down here, I'm finding all of the data values where the percentage of high school graduates are above 90, and I'm printing out those names in here. And so yes, I am really just asking you to notice what states, these states right here, what states are above 90% high school completion. And I'd want you to just copy those states right down here in the answer. I just want you to observe that that's what this command does, and the names that are abstracted are the ones that satisfy this condition. And I would want you to be able to tell what they are. So just use the output to understand what it's doing. Please let me know if you have Other questions about completing the homework?